Namaste. I am Dr. Sapna from School of Ayurveda and Panchakarma. Today I am going to give you an introduction about Ayurveda. As you all know, Ayurveda is very popular worldwide. It's a very old healing system originated 3000 years before Christ. It is also a simple way of living healthily, which means at that time people knew how to live a healthy life. And today many of the things which we do in our daily routine is actually opposite of how old people have done. Thereby we could see the quality of health is also going down. Simplest example is, look the quality of hair on an elderly person's head when they are in the 50s and 60s. They have almost all the hair on their head and it never turned grey color and is good quality because they knew how to preserve the quality of their hair. Whereas now, a few people in the 20s and 30s, they start to have grey hair coming out, which is too early. And few of them, they started to get early baldness also. So you can see something has gone wrong somewhere. To understand Ayurveda is just to understand how elderly people have lived and compare to our way of living and see, is it the same or did we change? And once we understand the logics of their routine, it becomes easy to put all these things back into practice. So of course Ayurveda is a Sanskrit word and is made up of two words, Ayu and Veda. If you know the meaning of these two words, you can explain what is Ayurveda. Ayu means life and Veda means knowledge or science. So the simplest definition for Ayurveda is the science of life or knowledge of life, or Ayurveda teaches how to live a healthy life. But what is health? According to the World Health Organization, health is a state of physical, mental and social well-being and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Of course, there was a period where only physical health was considered to call a person as healthy person. But now we need mental and spiritual happiness also. But this WHO definition of health is still incomplete when we compare to Ayurvedic definition of health. Ayurveda is the oldest science which has first defined health very comprehensively. Health according to Ayurveda is the health of the body, mind, soul as well as sense organs also. What is different here compared to modern definition of health is the health of the sense organs. So these are the organs through which we perceive our senses, like the eyes, ears, nose, tongue as well as skin. Even though they are actually part of our body, it is still described separately in the definition of health. This tells that they are very important parts of the body and is helping us to know how healthy is the body internally. So according to Ayurveda, difficult to find a perfectly healthy body because at least one of the sense organ is going to be weaker for majority of the people. So if you observe majority of the people in this world, see how many of them are wearing glasses to read. If they take out the glasses, some of them they cannot see anything. How can we classify this body as a healthy body? According to the modern perspective, it's not a big disease to use glasses. But did we ever observe, did we ever think? Like in the past, elderly people, majority of them, they didn't have to use glasses to read. I remember our grandparents were reading things or reading books without even using glasses. But now when we observe, even the kindergarten children, majority of them are wearing glasses to read. So something has gone wrong somewhere. And this is what we have to start finding out. The next sense organ is the ears. There are many people suffering with problems in the ears like pressure or pain in the ears, or some tinnitus, which is like some bells ringing inside the ears, and gradually the hearing getting weaker. Of course, we always complain to old age that when we become older, we start to lose all these functioning of the sense organs. But elderly people, they didn't have problem with hearing because they knew how to take care of the ears. So if one of the sense organ is weak, difficult to classify that body as healthy body. The next sense organ is the nose. Of course, we have only one nose, supposed to be in the middle of the face. But nowadays we see people where the nose is actually getting crooked and is pointed to one side, which means the septum of the nose is actually deviated. So one side of the nostril getting blocked. Usually this condition comes when the nostrils are blocked with mucus. When we catch a cold, the nose is blocked and thereby we are not able to breathe. But few people are telling my nose is not blocked. There is no mucus to block it, but still they are not able to breathe properly and the nose is very dry and gradually they lose the sense of smell, or some of them they start to get hypersensitive to smell. So these are all signs of some imbalance happening inside our system. The more we balance our inside health, automatically the sense organs also will become in good quality. Now the next sense organ is the tongue. Again, we have only one tongue. When we ask them to bring the tongue outside, it is supposed to be pointing in the middle. But now we see few people, the tongue is getting tilted to one side. And tongue is supposed to be the moistest surface. Because even remembering about food, we start to get water in the mouth. So surface is supposed to be very plump. And now we see a lot of dryness reflected, which is affecting the shape of the tongue. There's a lot of cracks coming. At the same time, we see the imprints of the teeth and darkish pigmentation coming on the tongue. Gradually, they start to lose the perception of taste. So these are all signs telling that there's a lot of imbalance happening inside the body, and with this condition, how in Ayurveda we can classify that body as a healthy body. So we have to find out the imbalances and correct it so that these signs are not reflected on the tongue. And the last sense organ is the skin. Of course, one of the main complaints of people's skin is the dryness. Few people complain to their place, or my country is too cold, or maybe in the winter season, I have a lot of dryness coming in the skin. But there are people living in a cold country, even they are in the winter season, still they don't have dryness reflected on the skin. So the normal tendency of having dry skin is only when we start to age. So when the whole body is getting older, actually the body is getting drier. And when internally the body tends to become more dry, the dryness is visible outside on the skin also in the form of wrinkles. But what is old age? There is no particular age and we cross and we can tell we are actually old. So it's actually approx age. Approximately in the 50s and 60s, gradually there is tendency of dryness coming and thereby there is signs of wrinkles going to be visible on the skin. Of course, nobody can stop the wrinkles coming, but we can delay the speed of the aging process if we know what we have to do in our daily routine. But nowadays we see the person is not even in the 40s and 50s. They are in the 20s and 30s and they are complaining about dryness of the skin, which we can see it is not normal. It is all signs of imbalance happening inside the system, and thereby the quality of our health is actually reflected on the skin. Besides the dryness, there are people who are having a lot of infections, allergies, dermatitis, infections on the skin. And now people are confused how to take care of their health or how to cure these problems. So the faster we understand our system internally and we balance it, we can have healthy sense organs also. So that is why according to Ayurvedic criteria, difficult to find a perfectly healthy body because at least one of the sense organ is actually weak. Now besides the health of the sense organs, Ayurveda also give emphasis on body's digestive mechanism. Also elimination of the waste products, health of the tissues of the body, and the balance of the energies which control all the functions of the body. So for example, if there is no daily bowel movements, it can lead to a lot of pressure coming in the abdomen, leading to cramps or bloatedness, a lot of flatulence, or it can be in the form of burps. And the pressure which is stuck in the abdomen can lead to a lot of pain in the back or cramps. It can also create indigestion and they lose the appetite. And all these toxins accumulated, gradually the body finds another way to remove these toxins out, and it comes out through the largest excretory organ, which is the skin. So majority of the people with skin diseases, when we look their elimination, it is not regular. This can also end up in creating mental diseases also. Similarly, if the digestive mechanism is not working right, even the good quality nutritious food which we eat will not be digested and absorbed by our system. The food can be transformed to toxins, which also create other diseases. So we can see here that Ayurvedic definition of health is very comprehensive and very logical also. Because if the person is perfectly healthy, of course he needs all the sense organs also in good condition, so they can do their functions proper. In Ayurveda, the Sanskrit sloga connected with health is like this: Samadosha, Samagnischa, Samadhadu, Malakriya, Prasanna Atma Indriya Mana, Swastha Ityabhidiyade. Which means a healthy person in Ayurveda is called Swastha. So to be called as a healthy person, he needs to meet certain criteria. So he needs balanced energies which control all the functions of the body, which are classified as doshas. Need good digestive mechanism, which is classified as Agni. Along with that, we need strong body tissues, and tissues in Sanskrit called dhadus. The proper elimination of the waste products like stool, urine and sweat should be there, and all these waste products collectively called as malas. Of course, we need happy soul as well as mind also, and the soul is called Atma and the mind is called Manas. As well as we need healthy sense organs. These are all the shortcuts to know how healthy is the body internally. A person who is meeting all these criteria is classified as a healthy person according to Ayurveda. So you can see how deep is this old definition of health, which is very simple, very logical and very easy to understand. But in our daily life, it's very mechanical and we don't even understand such simple and logical things. So the simplest definition for Ayurveda is that it's a science of life, knowledge of life, or Ayurveda teaches how to live a healthy life. And now we have really understood what is health. Like this, the small word Ayurveda we can explain in infinite other ways. Another explanation of Ayurveda is that it's a very valuable knowledge a knowledge about understanding ourselves, to discover who we are. So in Ayurveda, every individual is unique. So the faster we understand who we are, then we know this is good for me and this is bad for me. And now we are free to choose which way to go. Whenever we do the good things, the quality of life is good. But whenever we do the wrong things, the quality of life decreases. And we don't have to be a doctor to pass this information. Whoever having this knowledge, start to use this knowledge to discover themselves and help themselves first. And don't stop there. Start sharing this information to people around us. This was information which was passed from one generation to the other, from the house itself. They didn't have to go to a school to learn how to live. In the past, it was easier because 3 or 4 generations they were living in the same house, and grandparents and grandchildren are very closely connected. So grandparents used to share all the experiences and knowledge to the grandchildren. But now the generations are living in 3 different parts of the world. Grandparents want to share this knowledge to the grandchildren but not able to reach them. And few grandchildren thinking whatever old people have done, it is actually old fashioned. So they want to do exactly the opposite. So thereby many of these informations are getting lost. So for example, in Ayurveda we have warm bodies and cold bodies. So this warm body, if they are taking small quantity of alcohol daily, the simplest alcohol is the fermented grape juice, which is called the wine. The warm body taking small dose of wine per day, we have to see what is happening inside the system. Whether it's good for that body or bad for that body depends upon to the properties of alcohol. So we have to see, is it heating or cooling? So since it is fermented, once this drink goes inside the system, we can feel the heat building up, and it is good to improve the digestive mechanism. So we believe alcohol is heating. So if this warm body drinking small dose of alcohol per day, it depends according to the climate and the place where he is living. The person is living in a very cold country, the daily intake of alcohol, it is not creating much disturbances inside, but of course it is heating. So that heat produced, it helps to protect his body from the cold outside. So that is why most of the cold countries, they have habits or cultures of drinking some sort of fermented liquids. But this person moved to a warm country, but his habits continues. So people are not understanding what changes they have to do when they are in a new environment. So the person with warm body drinking alcohol and living in a very hot country where there is not strong winter season, daily the heat level increases, and one stage it comes out of the balance, creating many different types of diseases. One of the simplest name of the disease called ulcer, where all the acids accumulate in the intestine and the mucosa getting burnt. It didn't come in one day. So if they knew they are warm body and they knew what they are doing is not good for them, they could prevent this disease coming. Because prevention better than cure. But to prevent the problems, first we have to understand who we are. We need to discover ourselves. So otherwise, majority of the people, they are doing some mistakes because they don't know their system, and by mistake they are doing this cause which is ending up in a disease in future. Of course, it can come in one day. If they take that much dose of alcohol on the same day, ulcer can be created. But this person was taking only small dose of alcohol and is coming daily. Gradually one day came, the heat crossed the line, creating this disease called ulcer. Some body know they are warm bodies. They know alcohol is heating and still they do it. because every day they were doing it because of the habits. And one stage come, the habit is missing and the body start to get upset, then we can use the word addictions for that. So because of the daily habits or addictions, or they didn't know how they have to change their routine according to their place, thereby they are having some diseases now. So in the past, people could discover who they are, especially when they were young. And they knew how to balance their system. And they know this is good for me and this is bad for me. And their mind was strong enough to stay away from the bad things and keep on doing the good routine so that they have good quality long life. But now our mind is weaker and we always influenced with all the things happening around us, and most of the time we are not happy with ourselves. So thereby we get carried away with all these wrong diet and lifestyle, which slowly ending up creating diseases. So all the experiences which the older generation had, they were sharing to the grandchildren from the house itself. So that is how they knew ginger is heating and mint is cooling, because the books are very new. Even before the books came into existence, people have discovered ginger is heating and mint is cooling. And these simple informations, they are actually passing to the next generation from the house itself. So that is how we knew. Our generation know a ginger is heating and mint is cooling. But when we ask the small children nowadays, few of them, they are actually confused. They don't know what is heating, which one is cooling, they are getting confused. So older generation have done their job. They have passed this information to the next generations. But the new generation is not able to understand many of these informations because we haven't done our job. Another explanation for Ayurveda is that it's a very valuable knowledge. A knowledge to discover ourselves. So according to Ayurveda, every individual is unique. So the faster we discover ourselves, so we know this is good for me and this is bad for me. And we are free to choose which way to go. Whenever we do the good routine, we have good quality for our life. Whenever we choose the wrong path, the quality of life becomes less. So nobody is pressurizing us. It is all depending according to how we understand the informations of Ayurveda and utilize it to discover ourselves and start helping ourselves. Don't wait till somebody else come and start to help us. So going back to the example of this warm body drinking small dose of alcohol daily. According to the body, it's not good because we already described the body is a warm body. And now we know alcohol is heating. And if he is taking it daily, the heat of the body will build up and crosses the line. And it can create some imbalances inside the body like acidity or gastritis or like ulcers coming in the end. So it depends on the climate and the country. Imagine this body was living in a very cold country, especially the winter season. The daily intake of alcohol didn't create all these damage in the system. But of course, alcohol is heating, and the heat which is created, it is like helping his body to protect from the cold outside. So that is why most of the cold countries, we can see they have habit of drinking some sort of fermented liquids. But now the person moved to a warm country, but he is still continuing the old habits. So people not aware of changing the habits according to the places. So the person living in a warm country, but everyday intake of alcohol is going to increase the heat, and one stage come it crosses the line creating diseases like ulcer. If he knew his body had heat, he knew what he is doing is going to make the problem worse, the person could prevent this disease coming, because prevention better than cure. But to prevent the problems, we have to start discovering ourselves and understand the things around us in the nature. Is this good for me and bad for me? Because in Ayurveda, the food which is good for one person can be like poison for another person. So it's all surrounding the word who we are. All the humans looking similar, but they're not exactly the same. So once we know who we are and evaluate what we are doing, is it good for me or bad for me, we could prevent these diseases coming in future. But unfortunately, some people are not able to understand who they are, and by mistake, they are doing these habits, and thereby they end up developing some diseases in future. But some people know who they are and they know what they are doing is not good for them. Still they do it because of their daily habits. Because the habit in a cold country was to take small quantity of wine every day. But even he moved to a hot country, he's still continuing the habits. So because of these daily habits, gradually it's creating some imbalances. And one stage come, the habit is missing and the body start to get upset, then we can use the word addictions. So because of people's habits and addictions, they are actually suffering with some imbalances. So the first line of treatment is to know who they are and understand the things which they are doing in their daily routine and see whether it's good for them or bad for them and stop doing the mistakes. So we can see Ayurveda is a very valuable knowledge, and this is the best gift which we can give to any person, a gift of achieving health. So this is another explanation for the word Ayurveda. Like this you can explain Ayurveda in infinite ways. Another explanation for Ayurveda is that it is also a system of medicine which can be used for treating diseases also. But talking about disease, first we have to understand what is health. So there are certain energies which control all the functions of the body. When they are in a balance, we have health. When this equilibrium is going up and down, we start to get imbalances. So disease is an imbalanced condition of the body. So Ayurveda teaches us to understand whether the body is in a balance or body is out of balance. If we are not able to differentiate this, sometimes we will be living with the imbalanced condition thinking we are actually healthy. Like that, many people are actually living with the imbalanced situation and they are considered as healthy bodies. For example, the simplest picture of a body is like this. So when you observe our body, it is only a passage, a channel, a pipe or a tube. Of course, it's not so straight as we draw. There are a lot of curvatures, ups and downs are there. But the passage from the mouth to the anus, if you just stretch it out, it just becomes an open tube. So through this pipe, in the past it was 2 times per day some food came inside. Now changed to 3 meals and 5 meals, and some people all the time food is going through this pipe. In the middle of this pipe there is a lot of fire. So of course it's not physical fire, it's in the form of all the digestive enzymes and juices. And all these acids filling the stomach, we start to feel burning, and that is the interpretation for the hunger. So food goes through all these areas of fire. Just like putting food under the fire, the food is actually getting cooked. In the same way, the food goes through these digestive places, the food is digested. So simple explanation of digestion is like cooking of the food. So after digestion of the food, the nourishment is created, which is absorbed whole over the body with the help of blood. It can go to each and every cell. And there is always waste product created, and the body don't want the waste product. So it is actually eliminated out of the body every single day. From the time the child is born. Have you wondered how often the babies go to the toilet? It depends according to how many feedings the baby has gone. But what is the standard? How many feeds should be given to a baby? Nowadays, everything is changed to a standard. Asking this question to some of the parents, they tell, or the doctors told them to do feeding in regular 1 hour gap or 2 hours gap. But how to understand it is time to feed a baby is according to the baby's hunger. But babies cannot talk in the language to tell they are hungry. So the babies actually cry for the food. But understand, all the crying of the baby is not for breastfeeding. So there are different interpretations for the baby's crying. So in the past, people used to allow the babies to cry to feel the hunger before they breastfeed. And all the babies crying is not the same interval. Some babies cry more often because of their big appetite. So they have more number of feedings compared to other babies whose crying is less often. So how can we change all the feedings to a standard? So some children, they are not even hungry, but we tell it's time to have the food and they are like breastfed, which creates a lot of imbalance inside the system. And one stage comes, when this child is starting to grow, they don't know what is hunger anymore. Because before even the body becoming hungry, the food is already coming inside. So the number of feedings differ from one child to the other. After each feeding, the waste is created and the waste comes out of the child's body and the stomach becomes empty. Again the babies start to cry for the food. So baby's elimination is more number of times. But when we are in the middle part of the life, we are not eating so often like a baby. So usually one motion to three motions per day is normal for an adult. And nearing the old age, as we told, the whole system, whole body internally is getting dry. So the whole alimentary tract also dries out, which creates tendency of constipation. But it's not a must. So constipation is an old age problem. But elderly people have done a lot of help for their system every single day so that they don't suffer with constipation in future. And nowadays we are waiting for the problems to come to start helping ourselves. So one day this adult couldn't go to the toilet. Observe this passage. So I told the body was just like a pipe and the stool is not going out of this pipe. So the passage is actually obstructed and the pressure inside builds up. So the abdomen becomes bloated and the person starts to experience many of these problems which we just discussed now. This pressure can even go to the head, creating problems in the mind. So what to do in this condition? So a one day of constipation according to Ayurveda is a sign of imbalance or disease. Actually, it's not a small imbalance. It's a big imbalance because the pressure which is built up can create lot of compression inside the system. It can even lead to compression of the heart to create a heart attack in future. And only when the heart attack comes, people consider it as an emergency condition. A day of constipation is not even classified as an emergency condition. And many people, they actually living with this imbalance condition thinking it's normal. So few people from the childhood, they are going to the toilet only 2 or 3 times a week and they were thinking it's normal for their body. So Ayurveda is teaching us to understand what is normal and then start comparing to our body and see, is the body working normally or not? If not, please help ourselves. Don't wait till somebody else come and start to help us. So it's a matter of awareness. So utilize all these informations of Ayurveda and start to discover yourself and see whether your system is working normally or not. So now we have understood a day of constipation is not a healthy sign. Some people actually hearing these informations for the first time that a person is supposed to go to the toilet every single day. So if the person is not able to go to the toilet, we need to give some help. Because if we give a lot of pressure in the pelvic part, that pressure is enough to push this waste out of the body. If this body is standing like this, there is not much pressure coming on the abdomen. Imagine the person is sitting on a chair. Of course, we have 90 degrees pressure coming, but that pressure is not enough to push this waste out of the body for a constipated person. So one stage should come, the knee reaching the chest. So there's a lot of contractions coming in the pelvic part. At the same time, we need gravity also. So just be in that posture where the knee reaches the chest and the body is having gravity. That is enough to go to the toilet. So the name of that simple posture is called squatting. Simplest example is like going to the Indian toilet. A lady suffering with constipation for many years, and finally she found out this posture, and after that she was never constipated. So just the posture was enough to do the elimination. And those who are practicing yoga, there are few yogic postures which can create a lot of abdominal pressure. Some of them are done lying on the back and some of them have gravity. So utilize those yoga postures which will help to have regular elimination. So this can be one help which we can offer for a person with constipation. But sometimes we get cases the person is already in the squatting position and still they have tendency of constipation. So we have to find out the actual reasons. Maybe the person is not eating a lot of fiber, they are eating a lot of dry things, not drinking enough water, crispy food, and thereby they can have constipation. So try to correct their diet, include a lot of fiber, drink a lot of water, take something like a warm in temperature. So these all helping to clean all the toxins from our body. But some people are actually very careful of what they are eating and they are already in the squatting position, but still they got tendency of constipation. So another reason behind constipation is the mind. If the mind have a lot of stress, they are like having tensions, worries, or even fear. When a person gets fear, you can feel all the muscles of the body getting tight. So the intestinal muscles also becoming very tight, the body dries, and thereby they will have difficulty to go to the toilet. So even to go to the toilet, make sure the person's mind is relaxed. So mind should be focused in that function. Just like any other function, we need the actions of the mind also present there to make it complete. In the same way, to do the eliminatory function of the body also, we need the help of the mind. But we have some other cases where the person is in the right posture, they are eating the right food and the mind is very relaxed. But still they got tendency of constipation. So the main reason behind this condition is because of the aging process. Because when we get older, as we told, the whole body is getting dry. So the alimentary system internally also dries and the stool is already dry. So the dry stool staying in the dry part of the pipe, the elimination becomes difficult. So don't wait for the old age to come to start helping ourselves. Learn what we have to do every single day so that in future when we become older, we don't have constipation coming. So when we look our grandparents and parents, they didn't have all these problems which the youngsters are having now, because they were doing some of their daily routine and it was done every single day, so that in future they start to get all the benefits. But in the new lifestyle, we are hearing about a baby suffering with constipation, which was never possible in the past. So babies, for each feeding, they have waste coming out. So it depends according to what type of food was given to the baby and how the baby is treated. So it's a reflection of a lot of stress experienced by this baby, and the type of the wrong food given to this baby, and thereby the baby is actually suffering with constipation now. So till now, we haven't discussed any medicines for constipation. So just the posture was helping to get rid of the constipation. There was corrections in the diet and the lifestyle to be made. And nearing the old age, when the tendency of dryness is there, then once in a while we need the help of the laxative medicines. Now with all these help, now the person is able to have daily elimination. We have to evaluate how long they have to take care of their diet, how long they have to take care of the lifestyle and the squatting position. It is going to be for the whole life. Because as soon as the constipation is solved, if they go back to the old diet, old lifestyle, the constipation is going to come back. So it's a life-changing change they have to put into practice. And many of the people, they're not ready to change what they're doing every single day. And they're happy to take laxative medicines lifelong. So in that condition, the first year of constipation, the small dose is going to be effective. And year by year, the dose of the laxative medicine keep on growing up. And one stage come, the person is given the strongest laxative medicine and they are still constipated. Because don't forget, every single day we are aging. We are aging means in Ayurveda we are getting drier and drier. Younger we are, very easy to solve all the diseases. But older we are, it becomes difficult to solve. So that is why once we get all these valuable informations, try to use it as early as possible. But everybody have a right age to get the right information. But it's better late than never. Instead of regretting that we got information only in the middle part of the life, no problems. But start sharing to the next generation children who are just beginning their lifestyle. So if you teach them those healthy habits, so in future they won't have any of the imbalances like we are having nowadays.